What?
गुड इवनिंग एंड वेलकम टू गनर शॉट में आप सबका स्वागत है। आज हम बात करेंगे इंडिया नेपाल रिलेशंस एंड ऑल अबाउट ब्रिजिंग बॉर्डर्स। एंड ब्रिजिंग बॉर्डर्स इज अ बुक रिटन बाय माय गुड ओल्ड फ्रेंड Lt Gen Shokin Chauhan. And before he tells us anything about Nepal, first let's welcome him to Gunner Shot. Good evening, Shokin. Welcome to Gunner Shot, and a hearty congratulations from all of you for this wonderful book. I think it was well timed and greatly needed.
थैंक यू सर, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपने मेरे को ये शो में बुलाया। आई एम ऑनर्ड इंडीड, बहुत इंडीड ऑनर्ड सर बाय योर कंटिन्यूस मैग्नानिमिटी। आई नो वी स्पोकन अ ग्रेट डील। इससे पहले हम नॉर्थ ईस्ट के बारे में बहुत बात करते थे, चर्चा करते थे, नेपाल के बारे में, यूक्रेन के बारे में। पर ये जो हमारा जो रिलेशनशिप है हमारे क्लोजेस्ट देश के साथ, नेपाल एक्चुअली हमारा क्लोजेस्ट देश है, और उसके साथ हम क्यों हमारा रिलेशनशिप ठीक नहीं है, और ये इट्स वेरी वरिंग टॉपिक कि हम क्यों नहीं with the countries that are closest to us geographically, why aren't we on good terms with them? So this was one issue, sir, that has always been in my mind. As you know, I am from the Gurkha Rifles. I was born in the Gurkha Rifles, and I have known the Gurkhas, Nepalis, for all my life. And it has been one continuous love affair with Nepal and its soldiers. And because I had this experience of being the India's defense attaché in Nepal, that I realized ki why are we not doing the right things with Nepal? हम क्यों इस दोस्ती को we are just throwing it in the winds? And I decided that I would first do my research. मैंने इसी सब्जेक्ट पे अपनी पीएचडी करी सर, और फिर मैंने विचार करा कि this now needs a wider audience. So I rewrote my PhD into this book, Bridging Borders. I am grateful that I have got this opportunity and the ability to have brought it to the people, something that I have loved and something I feel very strongly about, कि हम क्यों अपने इस क्लोजेस्ट कंट्री के साथ हम ये दोस्ती नहीं बना सकते।
Yeah, I think you said it all. हम क्यों नई दोस्ती बना सकते हैं हमारा सबसे नजदीक नेबर के साथ, और वो भी एक मेजॉरिटी हिंदू स्टेट है ये। इनफैक्ट एट वन पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम ये एक हिंदू राज्य था। कुछ दिनों पहले डेमोक्रेसी बनने के बाद ये इट्स नो मोर हिंदू राज्य, पर है तो एक मेजॉरिटी हिंदू स्टेट है, जैसे हमारा भी एक मेजॉरिटी। मेरे ख्याल में हम दो देश हैं जो दुनिया में हिंदू मेजॉरिटी नेशंस हैं, और हमारे साथ इनका बहुत गहरा रिश्ता है। नेपाल, जैसे आप बार बार बताते रहते हो, इट सिट्स ऑन ओवर और हार्टलैंड, और हम उनके साथ दोती और बेटी का रिश्ता भी है हम बहुत लोगों के साथ। तो इस रिश्ता के बावजूद
फिर भी हम we don't get along. फिर भी एक देश like China, which is so far away. China, mainland China, नेपाल से 2000 से ज्यादा किलोमीटर दूर है। नेपाल is geographically close to China only through Tibet.
बस,
and we know and not only we, sir, the people of Nepal know what China has done in Tibet.
Correct.
How China has annexed Tibet.
And how they have treated people in Tibet.
बिल्कुल.
Right?
और फिर भी we are not able to keep Nepal with us. It's a tragedy, sir. It's really a tragedy.
Yeah. And
जी
इसी सिलसिले में I'm very glad that you have written this book. And today I must tell all the viewers that Shokin Chauhan is going to share this book with us and tell us what this book is all about. And I would request all of us, those of you who are interested, please buy this book, right? Because it will give you a wealth of information of someone who's spent his life, with Nepal in one form or the other, either by commanding people from Nepal or being in Nepal or thinking of Nepal or going to Nepal bar and knowing everything. So you're going to get a first-hand knowledge of Nepal. And in these troubled times, where India is growing, and we keep saying कि भाई हमारा neighborhood को साथ कैसे लेकर जाना है, I am sure this book will give you insights. So without wasting much time further, I would like request General Chauhan to take us through the paces of this book, because I know you have some fantastic illustrations in this book, which I'm sure you'll show it to us. So all
आई डू
yours,
सर
General Shokin Chauhan. Yeah.
थैंक यू सर आई यू नो अब फौज में सर तरीका क्या है कि आप शुरू करें कहाँ से when you're writing a book, the first thing was that I decided that I would start from the beginning. And the beginning is the beginning of our ties with Nepal, which actually, as you're saying, 1000-2000 साल पहले की ये ties है. So I started with the history of this book, where I called it Strategic History. I uh, went through our languages. I took out the similarity in our language, the similarity in our culture, and brought in all the similarities that we have. The similarity of the temples that we have, as आपने बोला हम हिंदू देश हैं. So Nepal has, you would be surprised, the Pashupati Nath, which is one of the dhams of India, of Hinduism. It also has
Oh,
Mukti Nath, which is again another very famous temple of Shiva. So जब हम इतने नेपाल के पास इतने इम्पोर्टेंट हमारे टेम्पल्स हैं, इट इज अ वेरी इम्पोर्टेंट पिलग्रिमेज साइट फॉर अस हिंदूज, फिर भी हमारी तरफ से व्हाई आर वी नॉट बीइंग क्लोजर इज वन थिंग दैट आई कीप टॉकिंग अबाउट. सो सबसे पहले आई टॉक ऑफ द हिस्ट्री. After that, sir, I talk of strategic geography, which I just want to show you a few illustrations, sir.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Please.
सबसे पहले I would like people to just see this location of Nepal. Nepal sits on the Indo-Gangetic Plain. It is 650 kilometers wide, sorry, length, and only 200 kilometers in depth, in width. And in this small area are fitted the Tarai, the Middle Hills, and the higher Himalayas. इस छोटे से इलाके में, and it is between India and between Tibet, not China. China तो बहुत दूर है. But because China entered Tibet illegally in 48, 49, Nepal willy-nilly has become a neighbor of China. And China has taken advantage and is building up a closer relationship than a country like us, which we feel, and all Nepalese also feel, that we are one nation, we are one people, but two countries. We are one people, sir. कोई
Yeah.
difference नहीं है हमारे में. रोटी बेटी का रिश्ता है. We pray to the same God. We have the same festivals. अगर आप काठमांडू जाएंगे and you stay there for some time, you will realize that the people of Nepal and the people of India dress similarly. We have the same festivals. Our women, uh, you know, celebrate the same festivals, the same gods. We pray to the same gods. There's no difference. But difference is only in the political arena. And because of that, these differences in the political arena have allowed a country like China to enter our closest neighborhood. तो ये सबसे important बात है सर. उसके बाद में I would like to once again show you, and these are all I've covered this in the book, the geography of Nepal. अभी आप देख सकते हैं, टार आपके नॉर्थ में है, तिब्बत एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव रीजन, इंडिया साउथ में है, एंड जहां आपका जो नेपाल का जो ईस्टर्न टिप है, ये मेची रिवर है सर, ये ईस्टर्न टिप पे, और मेची रिवर के पास ही is the Siliguri corridor, which is probably the most important area for us because this is the only land bridge which connects mainland India with northeastern India. And it's a very small area that you can see. Bangladesh is on the east and the south, and Nepal is on the north and the west. अगर आप सोचिए, ये जो लाल तिब्बत का लिखा हुआ है, ये दिखा रहे हैं हमें, अगर ये उस एरिया से नीचे आ जाए तो हमारी तो पूरी सिक्योरिटी जेपर्डाइज हो जाती, our complete security is jeopardized. So for us, Nepal is so important to us, just like Bhutan is, Nepal is that important to us. And this will show you कि what I'm actually meaning. अभी आप देखते हैं, the Himalayas, the Tarai Plains, as I said, in this 200 kilometers of width, you have the highest mountains in the world, and you have the Tarai Plains, all in 200 kilometers. And in the middle of the Tarai Plains and the high Himalayas are the middle hills, where 90% of the population, where 50% of the population actually resides in the middle hills. About 48-49% of the population resides in the Tarai Plains, and the balance is in the high Himalayas, which is a very, very low populated area. And Nepal's width, eastern boundary जो है, it is on the river Mechi, and the western boundary is on the river Mahakali.
Okay. Yeah.
और ये जो काली का जो river है सर, this also has a problem today with Nepal and India saying that we don't agree to the borders of Kali. Cannot two countries who have such a close relationship with each other not actually sit down and discuss this with each other? कि यार इसमें है क्या? We all know mountain streams go through their periodic changing of courses. And that is exactly what has happened. And in all international conventions, the boundary is taken from the center of the river. And since Kali River has changed its course, it's the 17th course, which I explain in very great detail in my book. That because of this difference of about 400 odd kilometers taking place, and because of this today, we have a major issue between ourselves. In reality, it is just the changing of the course of the river. अभी आप देखिए, which is again I thought very interesting, photographs, and I've made these slides to show you Nepal's physiographical regions, the high Himalayas, the Mahabharat range. The middle hills are called the Mahabharat range. The slightly lower hills are called the Shivalik ranges. And south of the Shivalik ranges are the Tarais. So these two mountain ranges are between the Tarai and the Himalayas, east to west. The Shivalik range is between 300 to 600 feet, and the Mahabharat range goes up till 10,000 feet, which is, as I said, the largest part of the country, the middle hills. It's a very interesting feature, sir. कि when you study Nepal and you study, सबसे पहले when you are studying some country, आपने सबसे पहले इनका देखना है कि इनकी ज्योग्राफी क्या है, लोग रहते कहाँ हैं, किस तरीके के साथ लोग रहते हैं. And this is what is called strategic geography. And the Terai plains then flow into India. अभी आप देखिए, अगर चाइना हाई हिमालय से को क्रॉस करके अंदर आ जाती है, तो there is no boundary where we can actually prevent them from coming further. And our complete border, 1856 kilometers, lie at the mercy of the person coming in front because it is totally open. Why? Because it, Nepalese have been given almost full citizenship rights in India. Other than their voting, Nepalese are allowed to enter India at any time without a visa. They're allowed to own their own land here. They're allowed to own property here. They are allowed to take jobs here. They can join the armed forces. So they have unlimited, you know, facilities for them in India because Nepal is such a small country. With the kind of thing is that they say sometimes one third of Nepal is actually in India. So this is what I was saying: 200 kilometers wide, 650 kilometers in length. That means from Mechi River to Kali River, it is 650 kilometers. And then, as you see, sir, on the west is Uttarakhand. Pithoragarh, Uttarakhand is on the west. In the south of Nepal is eastern UP and eastern Bihar. And in the east of Nepal, you can is the town of Siliguri and then Darjeeling in Sikkim. And उसके जो north में है is Tibet. So in every which way, Nepal, they say, is landlocked. It is not landlocked, sir. अगर आप उसको देखते हो, you would say it is India open. Which other country has this kind of access into our country? और इसको देखने के बाद 49% of the population are from the Terai region, which is similar to the eastern UP, eastern Bihar population. It is a very interesting situation when you study it. And of course, like I said, I talked of the Siliguri corridor, 15 kilometers, 20 kilometers at the maximum, separated from Bhutan by Sikkim, 88 kilometers, separated from Bangladesh by 15 kilometers Siliguri corridor, India open for transit and access to the sea. This is so strategic about Nepal itself. So, what is Nepal like? It lies along the mountains of the central portion, slopes downward from the mighty, impenetrable Himalayan wall in the north to the Mechi River at the eastern border and the Mahakali at the western border. जब भी आप स्टडी करते हैं, आपने ये तीन चीज जरूर देखनी। इनके माउंटेन्स कहाँ है, इनके प्लेन्स कहाँ है, इनका पॉपुलेशन कहाँ रहता है, इनके रिवर्स कहाँ है, इनके रिवर्स का फ्लो कहाँ से आता है। These are what you call the study, the strategic study of a country. And why I am concentrating on these are this is how the Shivalik ranges are there. Okay. So now let me now come back to us that after covering the history and geography, I then cover the relationship with China. And in with the relationship with China, there's one thing that I must be very clear about, that Nepal and Tibet have been fighting wars and have been trading with each other for the last 3 centuries. From something like the 15th or 16th century, Nepal and Tibet have been fighting wars with each other. And every time when Nepal defeated the Tibetans, it is China from Beijing, Chinese emperor, who interceded on behalf of Nepal, on behalf of Tibet, and then defeated Nepal and forced Nepal to sign the Treaty of Thapathali in 1864, which forced Nepal to send a tribute to the Chinese emperor every 5 years. So while Nepal says that they were never colonized by the British, they were never colonized by the British, but there was a British resident in Kathmandu, and the Nepal king had to ask the British resident, about his defense, his foreign affairs, and his finance. These were controlled by the British resident living in Kathmandu. जहाँ इंडियन एम्बेसी का लोकेशन है काठमांडू में इन अ प्लेस कॉल्ड in Kathmandu, that is the place where the British resident used to stay in the good old days. Lenchor. That means that is where the troops of Britain and the British resident used to stay. Lenchor is actually means lines of tents. So that is the second issue that I cover. First, I talk about our people-to-people connection. Next, I talk of the strategic history and strategic geography. After that, I cover their history with China, and I in detail mention this all the time. How important China is in this whole feature is that despite all the issues that China has done, despite the fact that they took Tibet, despite the fact that they uh, they took Tibet. It is despite all that. Let me show you the slide, which is very important, sir.
एक मिनट.
Ah, what happened? I'll show you. In 1949, in 1950, in 1946, in fact, Mao termed Tibet as the palm of a hand, with its five fingers as Ladakh, Sikkim, Nepal, Bhutan, and Nepal. He claimed that these were ancient Chinese territories that needed to be liberated. But Mao liberated Tibet by force in 1950. And after that, all these other territories were all worried. So the major insecurity of Nepal is that they can be taken over by the PLA or China at any time, because now that China has brought in so many forces into Tibet, all they have to do is move downwards into Nepal. And now that they're creating so many roads and they're creating changing geography in so many ways, and the mighty Himalayas are no longer an obstacle. This is a very real possibility. And I'm talking from a soldier's point of view, sir. Now, what does the buffer between India and Nepal mean? Nepal is a buffer between India and China. India has always regarded Tibet and not Nepal, sir. We have always regarded Tibet as the buffer
Tibet is
against
the
China.
buffer, yeah.
But suddenly that has changed to Nepal being the buffer. The annexation of Tibet by China in 1950, India had to reassess its strategic requirements. And as a result, Nepal became the buffer. So that allowed communist China to come closer to India and create a closer threat to us. So this resulted in what? Our security concerns of India vis-a-vis Nepal got accentuated. So not only are we scared that do we feel that China can enter from Arunachal Pradesh, where we are holding them in the east, or they can enter from Ladakh. They can also enter from Nepal. They can also enter from Burma or Myanmar. All because they have now annexed Tibet. And as professional soldiers, the study of the ground is something that we first learn. आपको पता है सर, जहाँ स्टाफ कॉलेज जब करते हैं और हम सबसे पहले जो सीखते हैं द एप्रिसिएशन, उसमें सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट, द मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट फैक्टर इन एप्रिसिएशन इज द ग्राउंड एलिमेंट. आप और मैंने साथ ही करा है स्टाफ कॉलेज, हम जानते हैं कि ये जो ग्राउंड एलिमेंट है, ये स्टडी इज द मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट स्टडी. And it is using that knowledge as an appreciation that I have looked at the territory of Nepal, looked at the territory of India, looked at the territory of Tibet, and have seen how difficult it is for India now to actually protect herself against any movement by the PLA. And PLA के लिए it is important. China is building strategic railroads. China is building roads. The movement of these troops can be a natural consequence. So this is the worrying issue. आप और मैं इतना डिस्कस करते हैं चाइना के बारे में कि ये है, but सबसे important is the threat that they actually have to us in our actual heartland. This is the threat. ये जो buffer है, they can walk in any time, and the closer that Nepal becomes politically to China, the easier it is for China to just walk in and say we are liberating it. At one point or the other, ये जो word liberation है, they can just choose a section of the government saying कि please come and help us out, we can't rule our own country or we don't have the money. Which is right, Nepal has no money. It has no money, it has no jobs for its people. In the garb of giving jobs to people, in the garb of creating assets and infrastructure, China can just walk in. This is the difficulty, sir, that I have been talking about, and I talk about throughout my book, how difficult it is, and why it is important for us to sort out the differences that we have between us and Nepal, so that we don't allow this communist element in Nepal to go closer to the communist China. Let me give you an idea. The Maoist angle. When I was in Nepal, the PLA was fighting the King's Army, the Royal Nepalese Army, and they used to call themselves the PLA, the People's Liberation Army of Maoist Nepal. But the Chinese during that time never said that this was the PLA. They always referred to them as anti-government forces. Once Prachanda became the Prime Minister, he is the person who started moving closer to China. And today, there are the communist government in Nepal, and they've been there now almost for 10 years. In one garb or the other, in one way or the other, they have come there. Institutional and diplomatic linkages between India and Nepal have endured because of very strong historical, geographical, political, and social linkage, which has evolved after so many centuries. But these historical linkages are a target of the Maoists in Nepal. And these linkages are resisting the complete taking over of Nepal by the Maoists. It is time we woke up. I then talk of the ideological barrier. Nepal is a mirror image of India. When you go there, sir, like I said, you find in Kathmandu or in eastern Nepal or in western Nepal, people are the same as the people living on the other side of the border. It is more than a geographical and ideological barrier between India and China. And this barrier is being weakened by the Nepalese Maoists through an influx of Chinese ideology and technology. और जितना हम डिले करते हैं in sorting out these outstanding problems, we are creating more angst in the people of Nepal, who are anyway so insecure about China. This slide is very interesting, sir. It shows the track work from Lhasa to Shigatse. Lhasa is the capital of the Tibet administrative region. Shigatse is the area from where, as you see, it is just on top of Nepal, 280 kilometers. A feasibility study of track work from Shigatse to Nalayam, which is inside Nepal. It's on the border of Nepal. And Nalayam is just 120 kilometers from Kathmandu. So these are the important issues that I have covered in my book, that I keep covering, and I keep talking about these issues so that people will understand. The Chinese influx, and I have dedicated The largest chapter in my book is the Nepal China relationship and what it means for India. It's just too close for comfort. The 253-kilometer long Lhasa Shigatse railway will be ready by October this year. New Delhi, we are watching, but watch se kya hoga? I mean, what is watching?
भैया कुछ तो
We
करना
have to
पड़ेगा ना.
create. Yeah, हम watch ही करते रहते हैं. There's nothing beyond that. The day they enter, the railway enters Kathmandu, it would provide alternative to the complete dependence on India as a logistics corridor for critical supplies like petroleum goods will be created by China. अबे आप देखिए how critical it is. This map shows you where Nepal is located: Bhutan, Sikkim, Arunachal, Uttarakhand, Himachal, J&K. It is right on our head. Nepal is India open. I always have said that the economic vulnerability and the insularity of Nepal is being exploited by the Maoists with the support from China. Nepal has always had a problem with giving jobs to her people. The Indian Army was a place where a really good soldier could be brought and recruited into the Indian Army. And his family automatically became a family of India. By not giving them privileges which go beyond the Agniveer scheme, we have created for ourselves our own obstacle. And we have to understand that because this country has no economic capabilities, they have no industry, they have no jobs for their people. Where are the people going to go? They come to, if they don't come to India, they'll go to China. And then that will create a problem. Nepal has economic vulnerability. The distance from the sea has resulted in a dependence on others. And it was always very insular and inward bent of mind. And it becomes when you are insular and you inward bent, you become vulnerable to other people's thoughts. So it has not been able to open up to the notion of modernization, which hampers development processes. And that is how it has been taken advantage of by China. Now, let me now try and conclude this. Nepal, as I said, was a buffer state between India and China. It was vital for the security of India. The relationship is still governed by the Treaty of Peace and Friendship of 1950, which we are still fighting over. We signed it in 1950. We have never felt the need to re-sign it again, but everyone in Kathmandu, especially the intelligentsia, the media, always talk that this treaty has given, greater influence to India. It was a treaty of peace and friendship. But now with increased Chinese influence, this is leading to increased anti-India influences. The infrastructure development by China is reducing the dependency on India. Why did we give an opportunity to China to build infrastructure in Nepal? We should have built it ourselves. Constantly saying we are a poor country, we can't do this, has resulted in other people taking advantage. Increased Maoist influence in the government because their their political parties are communists. The ruling political parties are communist. That has given them a great deal of influence. And their linkages with the Maoists in India is a security challenge for us and will always be. Increased ISI footprints, it's a security threat, besides, of course, the fact that there is a problem with China. India's dilemma. What is India's dilemma? We can't ignore the internal dynamics of Nepal. We have to convince people and the people and the intelligentsia and the leaders of Nepal that they have to be a part of our security infrastructure. We can't directly interfere. It's a challenging situation for Indian diplomacy. But our diplomats are equal to this and more. Increase diplomatic engagement. We have to win back this confidence. We have no option, sir. हम ये नहीं कर सकते कि वी कैन इग्नोर यू, कभी ना कभी ये चाइना चली जाएगी. चाइना नहीं जाएगी, कभी नहीं जाएगी. एक बार अंदर आ गई, फिर वो जाने की नहीं सोचेगी सर. That I can be absolutely clear about. Increasing footprints in the form of infrastructure development, trade, investments. The Indian Army, we had such a huge force multiplier. 125,000 soldiers draw their pension directly from the government of India. अगर इनको आप 6 के फैक्टर से मल्टीप्लाई करें, 10 से 15 लाख लोग in a country of 23 million depend on the government of India for their pension, for our medical teams, for all their support. और हम ये सपोर्ट के साथ 125,000 लोगों के साथ भी हम कुछ नहीं कर सके. That is criminal on our side, sir. तो ये है सर. This is what I felt I must say. My book covers this in detail. I cover the vulnerabilities of India, especially the vulnerabilities of our neighborhood, where countries like Sri Lanka, where countries like Maldives, where countries like Nepal, Bhutan are all being subjected to a great deal of economic invasion by China. And unfortunately, we are not able to understand this economic invasion. And because we're not able to understand, we will lose the longer war. Because as we don't encourage these countries to come to us, or we create enemies from within, these countries we will lose to China. और इस बार चाइना वापस नहीं जाएगी. That I am absolutely certain. She is in a very clear mood of expansion. She's not going to go backwards.
Yeah.
So this is my book, sir. Thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to speak about it. I'm so happy that this was one thing in my mind from all the time. I was always, Nepal used to be, you've heard me in so many places. I would always talk of Nepal. कि यार हम नेपाल को क्यों नहीं देख रहे? It has been a love affair with Nepal, love affair with the country, love affair with the people. And I feel that, and I always tell the Nepalese also that we are one people. We can be two nations, two different sovereign nations, but we are one people. And as one people, we must get along with each other.
Yeah, I think you said it, and I must tell everyone. मैं सबको बताना चाहता हूँ कि कल ही हमने सिलीगुड़ी कॉरिडोर के बारे में बात किया था विद जनरल केजे से, और उन्होंने अच्छी तरीके से ये सिलीगुड़ी कॉरिडोर और नेपाल के बारे में सब कुछ बात किया. और नेपाल के बारे में ही बात नहीं किया उन्होंने, ये सिक्किम, दार्जिलिंग और डुअर्स और कूच बिहार और मालदा, इस इलाके में हमारे क्या प्रॉब्लम्स हैं उन्होंने अच्छी तरीके से बताया. ही सेड इट वेरी क्लियरली. So I would like everyone to first see that, also along with this. And I think what General Chauhan has told us today about what is in his book is something fantastic. And I again request all of you, please pick up this book. I'm sure it's available in Amazon, right?
It is.
And it is available in Amazon for those of you who want to read about Nepal. Let me put it in his words with a different perspective. His words. We all talk कि भाई इंडिया एक पावर बन रहा है, ग्लोबल पावर बन रहा है, एशियन पावर बन रहा है, हम चाइना से टक्कर लेंगे. मैं रोज बात करता रहता हूँ कि चाइना हमारे साथ कुछ नहीं कर सकती, हमारा फौज को हरा नहीं सकती, वगैरह 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 वगैरह। एंड वी आर ग्रोइंग, हमारा जीडीपी आज 5 ट्रिलियन है। आजकल नेता सारे बोलते हैं बीजेपी के कि हम विकसित भारत करेंगे, ये करेंगे, वो करेंगे। बट our security of India does not lie in India, it lies in these small countries which are around us. एंड इसमें सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट कंट्री है नेपाल। और नेपाल जितना इंपॉर्टेंट है और कोई देश नहीं है। और मैं भी अपना एक, you have to see this in the context of, I'll just show a small map and I'll put it across. Right, sorry. Okay, ये मैप देखिए। अगर आप देखेंगे इस मैप को, अगर चाइना को दूर रखना है तो नेपाल एंड भूटान आर टू इम्पोर्टेंट प्लेसेस। क्योंकि आप उत्तराखंड में या नेपा में या अरुणाचल प्रदेश में या सिक्किम में हमारा फौज तैनात है, हम उसको बाहर खदेड़ सकते हैं, पर यहाँ फौज नहीं है। ओके, तो नेपाल और भूटान जो है वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर अस, विच ही हैज ब्रॉट आउट। नेपाल और भूटान इफ यू कंपेयर, तुलना करो, तो भूटान में द चाइनीज कैन कम आइदर थ्रू चुंबी वैली और ऑन द बॉर्डर विद अरुणाचल, वो बीच में से नहीं आ सकते। देयर नो डायरेक्ट कनेक्टिविटी फॉर चाइना टू कम थ्रू भूटान एंड कम टू आवर प्लेन्स, द प्लेन्स और द ब्रह्मपुत्र वैली पहुंच नहीं सकते वो। They have to come either, there are only two ways, the third way is not there. ऊपर भूटान अगर आप देखेंगे तो ईस्ट वेस्ट कनेक्टिविटी पोर है। Okay, so that is why China has not invested into Bhutan so much as in Nepal. और नेपाल में देखिए उनके जो नदियां आती हैं, पानी आता है, कोसी रिवर वगैरह, ये आफ्टर ऑल जो वाटरवेज आर द चैनल्स ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन ऑल्सो, उसके साथ साथ ही तो रोड बनते।
all Nepal's rivers flow into India, all 100%।
सब गंजटिक प्लेन में आते हैं और उसके साथ साथ ही रोड चलते हैं। और साथ साथ तो फ्रॉम द हिमालयाज टू नेपाल कनेक्टिविटी ज्यादा है भूटान के बनस्पत, और ये कनेक्टिविटी को इस्तेमाल कर रहा है चाइना ऑलरेडी, क्योंकि जितने रोड चाइना में बन रहे हैं, नेपाल में बन रहे हैं, दैट्स ऑल बीइंग मेड बाय चाइना। हम नहीं बना रहे हैं, दे आर मेकिंग। सो ऑलरेडी maybe in the next 2 to 3 years you will find Chinese in the Terai region and you have to start accepting it. That is the danger which he is trying to highlight very 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 unequivocally rather, not equivocally, unequivocally. So I think this is very important. The second thing which has come out after this presentation and about in his book is India's time is running out, and it is running out at very fast pace. And I don't, like I said, we might have another 2 to 3 years before we have to start accepting Chinese presence in Terai. That is very dangerous. If Chinese presence in Terai we have to start accepting in the next 2 to 3 years, the day is not far when the PLA is available there, right? And this is something we have to be very alive to. That is why time is running out. And the third, we have lost Nepal almost politically already with so many communist movements there. Why they have gone communist is a question we have to answer, but okay, that is, वो बन गए, अभी कुछ कर नहीं सकते। फिर जो आपका जो लाइन ऑफ डिफेंस है, those are the Nepalese people with whom you had this rishta through the army, right? Like he said, so many people, 1,25,000 people are getting pension. उनका रोजी रोटी हमारे से चलता है, उसको multiplied by 4 to 5 or even a factor of 6, right? The family, close family, right? Then you're looking at about 10 to 12 lakhs of Nepalese spread all over middle Nepal, because Gorkhas come largely from middle Nepal.
And they are the richest group, because उनको pension मिलता है. They're best
most
educated, richest. They are
and the
the
most well off
everywhere. Yes, and they are the policy shapers.
of right, and they
Yeah,
control the villages. They
absolutely.
control, right. The people can be Maoists, but the sentiment in the villages, everything is Indian Army, and we are losing it through this Agniveer scheme. Just think why time is running out. Already we have reports of Nepalese going and joining either Ukraine or Russia. The day is not far when they will, if you, they don't have a way to come this side, they will join PLA. And if in another 10 years, if PLA can start giving pension even to 10,000 people, I'm not talking too much, just 10,000 in 10 years, then you have a hostile Nepal on your borders. I'm not talking of friendly Nepal anymore, hostile Nepal. I do hope this government, which is going to come in, understands this. And we are going to talk of it futuristic. It is very nice to say future of Pakistan, JNK, बांग्लादेश, म्यांमार, ये तो हमारा सर पे है, हमारा हार्टलैंड है, गांजेटिक प्लेन, गंगा माँ के सर पे बैठी है ये देश, और ये धीरे धीरे टाइम इज रनिंग आउट. So this is very important.